Yeah. And lastly, I thought I'd end this series of vlogs on something a little bit more positive, and that's that I've recently been using my PS2 recently. I finally just took it out of the box I've been hiding it in the closet, and decided to relive a couple games I still have since it's been a while. Here it is. One of them being the Oddworld series. As you can see, this is Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, and Exodus. Uh, I've recently been playing Abe's Exodus, and I just finished it not too long ago. And to this day, you, Oddworld Abe's Exodus still remains my personal favorite PlayStation 1 game. And because the Oddworld series has been a franchise that I kind of grew up with. It was one of the first games that I ever saw played on a PlayStation when we had it at the time. And I usually just watch my older siblings play it. And a lot of times I would actually just mimic the game speak mechanics that it had. But when I finally started playing it for myself a few years later, and then many after that, it really just hit me just how challenging this game really is. Like a lot of problems that I had with Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, Exodus fixed up just like that. And considering that they were able to develop this the very next year, is still astounding, especially considering it was one of those few PlayStation games that ran on the span of 2 discs. Yeah. Because after playing the remake, which I got for Wii U, it got me thinking of just trying to revisit, the Oddworld franchise as a whole. I have Munch's Odyssey on Steam, but I don't have a proper Steam controller as I would prefer. So, yeah. But the one thing that I really just love about the Oddworld games, especially from the first two, is just how it looks. Even for PlayStation 1 graphics, this is a beautifully looking game. Just looking at the environments of the Paramites and Scrab homelands, and then going through the jungles of Necrom, it really is just a beautiful looking game. You can really see the artistic detail that the developers added into this. And of course they do have some really, really well done funny moments that is more playing to environmental themes than one would expect, because it doesn't shove it in your face. It plays it just, okay, this is the story we're telling, but there are themes that are subtle to it, kind of like Sonic's at only a little bit more violent, I should say, and your protagonist is like a weakling. Yeah. And what was also the most difficult thing about it was that it's usually the hardest when you're trying to make sure that you save all the Mudokons. Like in Abe's Odyssey, you gotta save 99 Mudokons, and in Abe's Exodus, you gotta save 300. And I recently beat the game, and I was able to actually save all 300 of those Mudokons, and I have proof of that on my Instagram. It was actually kind of spectacular. Oh my god. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with the remake, which they're calling Oddworld Soulstorm. That's going to be a ton of fun. And part of me's kind of hoping that could lead to, finally finishing out the quintology of Odyssey games. Because, there was Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. They claim Exodus was kind of like an add-on to Abe's Odyssey, but, I kind of consider it its own game. And then you got Munch's Odyssey, so those are two down, I guess. And they said the next game that they're going to try to get developed is going to be Oddworld I don't know. There was going to be like a new character added in. A new character with that's going to be joining Abe and Munch. So we'll see where that goes. So yeah, really enjoyed replaying Oddworld Abe's Exodus again. Yeah, I gotta get newer consoles. I still need to get a Switch and a PS4 Pro eventually. One of these days. But yeah, I think that's all I got to say for in terms of these quick little vlogs for now. Pretty short, pretty simple. Aside from the Emoji Movie, that's more complicated because... yeah. Aside from that, I'll see you guys next time, and hopefully I'll have something better to present. Ciao.